Can Draymond Green win Defensive Player of the Year? Plus, the chemistry right now between Draymond and Jimmy has been awesome. We wondered how the locker room would look with those two together. Honeymoon phase or not, it has been brilliant. They are both big fans of one another's games and say they remind each other of a certain someone. Each other. Let's break it down on today's show.
Who cares now? Because I'm here, and I would like to think that I am wanted here.
Most importantly, he a dog.
Got 4 championships.
You are Locked On Warriors.
I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Speculation is just what it is, though.
Your team every day.
What is the good word, everyone? Appreciate you for making us a part of your Wednesday. Maybe it's Thursday when you're listening, wherever and whenever you're listening. Thank you. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7 The Game and KPIX, that's CBS News Bay Area, and covered the Warriors for 3 seasons out in the Bay Area. Here to talk about the Golden State Warriors today on the Locked On Warriors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Ways that you can check out the show, YouTube, wherever you get your audio podcast. Check us out on social media and give us that thumbs up. Very much appreciate it. On today's show, let's break down some things. Meat and potatoes is going to be Draymond Green and his case for Defensive Player of the Year. Should Draymond be considered for DPOY? We're going to talk about that. He had incredible things to say on why he thinks he's gotten snubbed in the past and why players like Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan have been snubbed out of this award many times back when they played. So we're going to get into that, the dynamic between Butler and Draymond Green. Welcome back, Podziemski. And the Toronto Raptors are next. What's left of the Toronto Raptors, they are very banged up right now. So Draymond Green and his Defensive Player of the Year case. When you look at the box score, and this has always been the way that it's been with Draymond Green, when you look at the box score, it never jumps out to you. But he dominated Giannis. Anyone that watched the game on Tuesday, knows that Giannis dominated that game. The stat sheet only reads 4 blocks. It's buried behind the points and the assists, did have 10 rebounds. But if you watch that game, Giannis was in hell. And he wasn't in hell because of the help side defense. In fact, there wasn't a ton of it. Draymond pretty much said, get out of the way. You stay with your own men. I am covering Giannis, and I am going to stop him today. And he forced him into hell. I mean, Giannis got to the line a million times. The number, just to give it exactly to you, because that's what we do as Big J journalists, the numbers were 15 free throws, and Giannis hit 10 of them. So he got to the line quite a bit and forced Draymond into 5 fouls. But this isn't college, buddy. This is the big league, Skippy. You get 6 fouls, and therefore Draymond wasn't done. He used all 5 of those fouls to his advantage, was physical with Giannis, and gave him fits. Podziemski said in the postgame that the plan was to make Giannis and Dame beat them. The Bucks were getting their best points in the third quarter. The best stages of their game came when Kuzma and Prince really got involved. So Draymond said, if we're going to lose, it's because Giannis beats me every single time. Essentially, I'll lock up my man. You lock up yours. Don't worry about Giannis. If he gets 40, no big deal. Because if we stop everyone else, the Lopez, Prince, Kuzma trio, then we're going to take them home and we don't have to worry about Giannis. I'm going to do my part. And Pod said that it's kind of a weird dynamic playing for the Warriors because you get the scouting report from the coaches and you get the game prep that the coaches instill. And then sometimes on the fly, Draymond will just say, timeout, audible. We're scrapping this entire thing. So he said it's a fine line. There's a balance between listening to the coaches and listening to maybe Coach Draymond someday. But yeah, Draymond will say scrap it sometimes on the fly if he doesn't like it. Yesterday, though, he was full court picking up Giannis, and he said it's only possible because Jimmy Butler plays behind him. And that kind of leads into the dynamic that we're going to get into in just a little bit, because since the All-Star break, Draymond and Jimmy have had the best defensive duo rating in the entire NBA. So Draymond, him personally, Defensive Player of the Year award. He's won it once back in 2017. Does he have a case this season? Now with Victor Wembanyama out, here's what Draymond had to say.
1,000,000% I have a case, and I'll continue to build that case for these next 13 games. And I look around the league, I don't see many players impacting the game on the defensive end the way I do. I don't see many players completely throwing off an entire team's offense the way I do. So 1,000%, especially with Wemby going down. Seemed like he had it won, and now it's right there.
It's right there. Draymond wants it. Steve Kerr in the post-game presser didn't even have to think about it. He said that Draymond is the best, and I'm sure he said it in the past during many of his pressers, but he said he's the best defensive player that he's ever seen. And considering he had front row seats, and forget just courtside seats, he was on the floor at the same time as Duncan and Rodman. And to say that Draymond is the best he's ever seen, that's big time. He was excellent in the game. The communication, you can hear it over the TV. That's the thing. Like, think about the other players on the Warriors. You hear Butler from time to time. You definitely hear, you hear Pods quite a bit, actually communicating out there and displaying his frustrations with the refs. But aside from that, you think about players like Moody and Kuminga or Trace Jackson Davis, maybe Buddy Hield. You go up and down the list, and for the most part, you don't really hear them through the TV. Maybe at the game, you're sitting courtside. Congrats to you. Great seats. Maybe you hear something there. You definitely hear something there. They're basketball players. They talk. But Draymond's booming voice, it commands your attention on the TV screen, and I would imagine that it does the same on the basketball floor. He's been so damn good. And the crazy thing is the stat sheet, like we said, and this is a tease to what we have coming up when he's talking about Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan and why they never got their respect in this award voting. And he said it's because there's a bunch of box score watchers out there. The writers, the voters, box score watchers. They don't even watch us play. But the box score for Draymond read, so you give this to, your 73-year-old dad that hasn't watched an NBA game since the 80s and say, what do you think of this Draymond Green guy? And he sees 1 of 6 and 0 of 5 from 3 and hits 1 of his 2 free throws and 10 defensive rebounds. You're like, okay, all right. He's a grinder out there. 4 assists. Okay. 2 steals, 4 blocks, couple turnovers, 5 fouls in the game. You're just thinking he's a hard-nosed guy. And it goes so far beyond that with Draymond. He's the brain. He's the brain. And when you have a brain that size on the floor, it really does make every single player better around him defensively. And we've seen it with a number of guys this season, specifically just players like Moses Moody and Podziemski. And they just seem so much better on the floor with Draymond out there kind of guiding the way. And, that is what he does pretty consistently. So the stat line, 4 points, 3 points rather, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 4 assists. Nothing to write home about, but to the ball knowers, to the ones that watch, we saw him shut down Giannis. We saw how easy he made it look and how difficult it was for Giannis. And that's a matchup that, when you're talking about the box score after the game, and we gave out game balls I gave it to Butler yesterday, and Kolsky gave his to Podziemski. Neither of us give it to Draymond. And someone in the comments pops in there, no, it's Draymond. What he did to Giannis, forced him to 5 field goals. That's got to be near the bottom this season. Over the past 10 games, Giannis against the Suns, 7 field goals. That was his fewest. He had 5. Struggled from the floor. 5 of 16. Overall. So not the greatest game for him, and Draymond Green was a big part of that. All right, let's get to this great soundbite. Draymond Green talking about legends of the past, why the Defensive Player of the Year voting is more catered towards players that have high volume of blocks and steals. That's next on Locked On Dubs.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on your retirement contributions. That's not all. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up today at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk, rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year. From your first match, you must keep funds in your IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial, LLC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
All right. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, maybe even a celebrity sighting sitting courtside. Best condolences to Tracy Young. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, Tracy Morgan, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Check the Game Time app. You'll see amazing deals on huge matchups. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, so the Warriors are getting ready to tango with the Toronto Raptors, but the side story that we're talking about today mainly revolves around the Warriors defense being top 2 in the NBA since the All-Star break. Draymond and Jimmy being the best duo, their connection, how they've seen each other on the court. That's all coming up, but I want to continue this conversation of Steve Kerr saying that Draymond's the best defender he's ever seen. And we know that Kerr has seen some incredible defenders. Draymond thinks that he has a 1,000,000% chance, or case rather, not chance. That's up to writers across the country and down in the Midwest, the Southeast, whatever it may be. That's up to them. But he says 1,000,000% he should absolutely be considered and be a finalist for this thing. And he is. He is right up there. In fact, Evan Mobley is the only player right now in the NBA that has better odds to win Defensive Player of the Year than Draymond. Mobley's a runaway odds in Vegas. Draymond at over plus 500. But Draymond's there. And if he a bunch of things going on. They have many beats to worry about. They, only watch so many games, so many days. So when you watch it consistently, it's a very different story. So Draymond was asked why guys like him, and Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan, Garnett's won 1, Draymond's won 1. And he says, Tim Duncan, he should have like 7. He could take mine and tell him to take Kevin's too. Like he should have some. And he had a very insightful response, I thought, a good one on why he and other players don't get the respect they deserve now, later, and back then.
Because I think the voters look at stat numbers. And if you don't watch the game, you can miss it. And I think if you just go look at the stats, it don't always tell the story. It ain't all about the blocks. It's not all about the steals. What are you covering? And I think, like myself, they cover for everybody. And when you can cover for everybody, sometimes you can get a lot of steals and there's guys covering for you. Because you're getting a lot of steals, you're probably taking a lot of risk. We cover for people. I mean, you got some people that has a vote on the East Coast that probably see us play 4 times a year. And if you look at the stats, you're going to be like, oh, Draymond averaged 1 steal and a block. Those numbers don't jump off the page at you. But you go watch me play. And then you go ask the opposing coach, what did I do to their offense? It's a different story. Championships. All three of us got. So I'm sure just like myself, they'd much rather have those than more defensive player of the years. But I want another one. And I ain't retired yet, so.
Hey, he's going to have himself a chance to get it if he could keep it up. We just pulled up the statistic on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube audio podcast. Get this. Giannis shot 31% from the floor after we crunched the numbers. Thank you, Football Wisdom, for that insight. Lowest field goal percentage any game this year by 17%. Proof is in the pudding. And all I need, here's the thing. Did I play basketball at the highest level? CYO and AAU and got cut from the high school team? Absolutely, I did play basketball at the highest level. But when you hear coaches and other players that are respected around the league and Hall of Famers and just everyone clamoring about how much of a difference he makes out there, at a certain point, if you don't think he makes a mistake, you're just wrong. You're just wrong and you don't know ball. That's the biggest takeaway. These people on the floor, Steph Curry, there's a reason why he's kept him around as long as he has with the keys to the kingdom, and why other parts have shuffled along the way. He's extremely important and he's playing great ball. And quite frankly, you're right. I don't know ball from time to time, because earlier in the year when it's like, oh yeah, go out, get Durant, throw in Draymond. Oh, we get Zion, bring in Zion to be the heir apparent and someone that can, continue to electrify Chase Center with some of his plays. And still love Zion, by the way, even though he's most likely not going to be a Warrior anytime soon. But I was like, yeah, throw in Draymond, whatever it may be. Keep Wiggins, throw in Draymond. And with what he's doing right now, Jimmy behind him, because he can get a little more aggressive with Jimmy behind him. It is a thing of beauty. He is playing some of the best basketball defensively that he's ever played in his entire career. And Jimmy seems like he's loving it. He has no issues thus far with his month-and-a-half stay, whatever the official numbers are, in the Bay Area. Couldn't find his joy in Miami. Remember that? A reporter asked him after a game, Jimmy, will you ever find your joy in Miami again? Thought about it for a few seconds and probably not, to be honest with you. I'm ready to get the hell out of here. After the win on Tuesday night, he's walking off the floor, arm around Steve Kerr. They're cheesing it up. There was a 16-0 run that decided the game, that bridged the third and the fourth quarters, and Steve Kerr said he ran every single play through Jimmy Butler during that stretch. And it sounded like he said that down the stretch too, but he may have just meant that stretch. Regardless, they're running everything through Jimmy with Steph not on the floor, and just commands so much attention, allows other players to get to their spots, actually relishes in the fact that he doesn't need to shoot it 15, 20 times a game, whatever it may be. He says he likes to pass the ball. He can do his thing. He can score. We've seen it. He can get to the rim at will. But if Quentin Post, he sees with 8 on the shot clock, is wide open on the other side of the floor, ready for a catch and fire, he's going to skip it across the top. That's what he does. He makes the smart play. Draymond actually said, it's a great quote, that if there is 6 seconds on the shot clock, throw Jimmy the basketball and he will know what to do. If you're stuck with 6 seconds on the shot clock, Draymond preaches this. Moses, Brandon, Quentin, Guy, 6 seconds, quit dribbling, look around, find number 10. It's that simple. He's found his joy as a Golden State Warrior. Still figuring out where he needs to be. That's something that I found pretty interesting. When players have the ball in certain spots, or he has the ball, other players on the team have to figure out, where they need to be when he's at the high post, where they need to be when he's in the corner. And that's something that they're still figuring out. But to the naked eye, the transition looks seamless. Truly fascinating how quickly he's come in and just made it look easy. Like the system is not that hard to pick up on, with how difficult it was for Schroeder when he got traded after having a career season for the Nets. We thought it may be a tough system to work into. It may take a minute. Although Buddy Hield, another outlier in that regard, because he got off to the really hot start. Maybe it's not as difficult as we give it credit for. But Jimmy and Draymond, the connection, Jimmy sees the game like Draymond. We know this. Both of them described each other as like mistake erasers. And you now have 2 mistake erasers, which is huge for your overall team defense. Because Draymond, especially Draymond, Jimmy too, but Draymond's taken some gambles. We saw in the game on Tuesday against the, why am I forgetting? This is how bad my memory is, for God's sakes. Lost to the Nuggets, turned right back around and beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Thank you. Took a minute there. Jeez. But Jimmy took a gamble in the game against the Bucks where he was going after the ball near half court, going for the steal and the breakaway dunk, missed it. And what's he do? He just sprints back into the play, gets in front of his man, and you would have thought nothing happened. But from time to time, that doesn't happen. The gamble, doesn't pay off. It's next thing you know, 5-on-4, they find the open man, and you need someone that can put out a fire, that can stop a problem. So the gambles, instead of getting burnt, you got Jimmy / Draymond on the backside, plugging it up, covering up one another's mistakes. And we see the aggressive nature in both these guys all the time. Quote from Draymond: "If there's a fire on defense, I'm going to put it out." And he thinks the same way. And that is hard to score on. The problem fixers out there. He had a quote about problem fixers, right? When there's an issue defensively, and you see, let's say someone's cutting backside and you see it out of your peripherals, some people just watch and say, damn, that's a bucket. They see it real time. They can't do anything about it. They don't have the instincts. They don't have the will. They don't have it. They have it to where they just put out fires. They stop the problem. They see the problem ahead of time. Smart basketball players. It's time to start giving more credit to smart basketball players in a day and age where sure analytics reign, but we also salivate over, 6'10" guys that can run the floor and that look a lot like Jimmy Wiseman, look like James, sometimes just watch what you're watching with your eyes, see how they look. And it's simple to watch both these guys' games and figure out why it works, especially Jimmy offensively. All right, let's continue the conversation. Let's get into Pod's return. Let's talk about the old good problem to have. The Toronto Raptors up next, the final 13. And we'll pose a question. Could the Warriors actually be better off as the 7th seed? We're going to talk about that. Coming up on Locked On Dubs.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
All right. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Upwork. Let me tell you about this. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. And with Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. I'm liking this. Are you liking what you're hearing? I'm loving this. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing, maybe video editing too. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Find the right talent. If you need a marketing campaign, Upwork, they'll connect you with a freelance expert who will deliver incredible results. The hiring is fast and easy. You could post a job free and simple. Within a day, multiple qualified candidates will be there to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Love this. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork, UPWORK.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. March Madness is here, everyone. Kylan Mills hosting a little show for Locked On. Here is a co-host, I should say. Here is the breakdown of that.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
Toronto Raptors up next at Chase Center before the start of a 6-game road trip. Raptors on the season. I guess you could say they're fighting for a play-in spot, but at this point, white flag has just about been waved for Toronto. Not necessarily because of the record. They are 5.5 back of the Heat at this point in the season. That's tough regardless, but it's the roster right now. They will not have Grady Dick. Brandon Ingram is not playing. RJ Barrett is out. I believe Chris Boucher, who torched the Warriors in the last game, has not played. So there's 4 right there. The only names that you're really going to recognize, unless you're just a diehard fan of League Pass or from the Great White North, would be Scotty Barnes, obviously, Emmanuel Quickley. Abaji's been playing. Aside from that, AJ Lawson, Colin Castleton, they are thin, to say the least. And they got trounced in their last game by the Phoenix Suns. 40 points was the difference in that game. So they're not playing exceptional basketball by any means. You can always look at the last 10 to see how they've been looking. And it's not terrible, 6-4, but they've lost a couple in a row, and they are definitely banged up. By the way, sidebar, the Miami Heat, Andrew Wiggins right now not playing. He's been hurt. They've lost 8 in a row, struggling mightily. And I bring that up because the Heat are coming up during this stretch, as are the Atlanta Hawks, actually the most difficult task during this 5-game stretch. They are 33-36. They are the 7th seed right now in the Eastern Conference. It's been a long time since the Warriors saw them. It was during that 12-3 stretch, or right after that 12-3 stretch, where the Warriors really started to stink. That was kind of the calm before the storm. They destroyed the Hawks, and then from there, all hell broke loose. So it's been a while since they've seen Atlanta, but that's a game that you have to win at this point in the season. And then aside from that, you got some Western Conference teams. You got the Spurs, who don't have Wembanyama. You have the Pelicans, who don't have anyone. Who knows if Zion's even playing? You got to look at the schedule to see who they're playing after and who they played before. He's on and off. When he's on, he's great. But the team as a whole, they're 2-8 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. You're not losing to the New Orleans Pelicans. You wouldn't hope. And then it's from there, you got Phoenix. You got a pretty tough schedule from there. Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Houston Rockets. How close am I? And Denver Nuggets. Memphis, Lakers, Denver, Houston. 2 on the road, Memphis and Lakers. 2 at home, Denver and Houston. So yeah, Kolsky and I talked about this the other day. Go 5-0 on this stretch. Don't lose to Atlanta. Definitely don't lose to the Heat, who cannot win at all right now. And then if you lose to San Antonio or New Orleans or Toronto, with the way their roster is made up right now, just go ahead and forget about any sort of title contention. That is something you just have to take care of. You got to take care of your business. And if not, I find it hard to believe that you're going to take care of business in a 7-game series against the best of the best. But Memphis, Lakers, Denver, Houston, and then that's where Phoenix came into play before finishing the season with San Antonio, Portland, and LA. Good news for the Warriors. Brandin Podziemski is back for Golden State. Not only is he back, he's balling. He looked good against the Bucks. Good. Oh, I love this. You're going to take a little bow. I've said this since the preseason. He was going to have a great year, and it's been a weird year. I don't know if great defines it, but he's had a great stretch when healthy, but got off to just the brutal shooting start this season. And now he goes 4 of 7, and it's just another day at the office for Podziemski, who is shooting the basketball a lot better when he has some space. He had 17. We know he gets boards, 7 boards in the game. Did have a couple of turnovers, but aside from that, 17 with big buckets and big defensive rebounds, and had a big offensive rebound at one point that I believe led to points. So good having Podziemski back and healthy. The question now becomes, I think this is the first time all season, with Butler at least, that everyone is now fully healthy. Because I want to say Kuminga came back and then Podziemski was out, and I don't think everyone has played at the same time. So the question is going to be, how are they going to work out this rotation? You're missing 35 minutes of Steph Curry, and you went 12 deep in the game. You gave 17 to Peyton, 24 to Buddy Hield, 29 to Podziemski, and 25 to Moody. That's impossible. The numbers game says it's impossible. So what does your rotation look like? I've seen many say scrap Hield, and who is the other one that they say? Scrap for the most part. I've seen, quite frankly, some scrap Kumingas, which Kolsky, if he was on the show today, he would be pulling out his hair for me even bringing that up. And maybe we debate it on another show. Did get to the line 6 times and hit all 6 of them. Did have a nice little tip slam, but he struggled. 2 of 10 from the floor, settled for 2 awful 3-pointers. He has those moments where, like, at one point he was going right at Giannis. And I was like, this is the moment where he just dunks over Giannis, and we're like, all right. And he kind of lost the ball on the way up or got it stripped or whatever, turned it over. And he had 2 turnovers in the game, 4 fouls, was a -11. He just did not play his best basketball. But like I said on previous shows, his best basketball, 10 points in 24 minutes, depending on how you do it, that's not the end of the world. It's just the everything else with Kuminga. You got to get more than 2 rebounds, have more than, a 0 turnover to assist ratio where it's 2 and 2. Don't have that. Play better defense, shoot the basketball better, finish your layups. Like, you got to do everything better if you want to be that missing piece that the Warriors think he is, and if he wants that big payday that he's looking for in the offseason. But we're not doing the overreaction game of one. He looked pretty good in the other couple that he played, and we'll see how the season plays out. That's going to be a huge talking point in the offseason. When you beat the Bucks by 11 points, who are 4th in the East, and Kuminga has a quote-unquote, and not quote-unquote, has a verified bad performance, that's not the worst thing in the world. He's just got to play better. So that's the way we'll keep it. I hate it sometimes when, like, at the beginning of the year, there was almost like a hierarchy between Podziemski and Moody, where if you liked one, you had to hate the other. At least on the internet, when you're hosting these shows, you see all the comments. It's like, dude, you're a fan of the team, just like them both. It's not that difficult. You don't have to. This isn't NIL where you have to, keep someone based on, like, you have them all signed to multiple year contracts. Like, Moody's good, Podziemski's good. You have them both. Root for the development at the same time. And I don't know what the Warriors are going to do in terms of the rotation, but I do think it will be a feel type thing where Buddy's not going anywhere. So sure, he could sit on the bench, but maybe he comes in one game and lights it up in his 22 minutes of playing time. Peyton may not be 17 minutes every game. Sometimes it may be 9, but the spots where he's going to be most effective. Typically it starts on the defensive side of the floor. Guy Santos is someone that may have his minutes affected by having a fully healthy team. But he only played 8 in the game. And I think that Guy can be utilized as one of those players off the bench where when the effort's not fully there, when you come out in Atlanta or come out in New Orleans and first time out rolls around and it's 10-3 or something like that, instead of going down the bench to Buddy, you bring in Guy right away and you just instill a little toughness. We're going to get those loose balls. We're going to get the 50-50 balls that I'm going to create extra possessions, and we're going to play tough. It may not always be beautiful like those locks, but we're going to play tough. Shout out Guy Santos. He's been great. But in terms of the rotation, those are the 2 right there, or the 3 that'll probably be affected the most. But Podziemski, 29 minutes in the game today. I don't see that changing. I think he's a 25+ minute guy just about every single night. At this point, he's good. He is who he was last year, and that's a budding star, someone that was an all rookie and continues to look like a really, really nice player. So anyways, that's a show. Warriors have winning basketball players right now, players that are willing to do the things that are needed to get the job done. Shout out Moses Moody, even during a quote unquote bad game, a statistically tough shooting night. Continues to make winning basketball plays. And like Draymond said, and like we have alluded to many times this show, it goes beyond the stat sheet. Make the winning plays. Warriors are doing it. Raptors are up next. Subscribe, hit the like. See ya.